everyone out there at San Diego Comic Con. This is the Women of Color in Comics, Race, Gender, and the Comic Book Medium panel. I am your host, Regine L. Sawyer. I am the coordinator and founder of the Women in Comics Collective International. We host events around the country, including our own conference in New York City. And I'm also the writer and publisher over at Lock It Down Productions. So we have an amazing assortment of panelists for you today. And I'm going to have them introduce themselves. Just starting with Jonita. Tell me about yourself.
I'm Jonita Davis. I'm a film critic, and what I call a cultural critic. I talk about how our culture and our society and everything in it just kind of clashes together, and how you can't take the politics away from the comics, unfortunately. Sorry, guys. I'm also a professor, an English professor, and so a lot of this shows up in my classrooms and stuff, and I may get a teacher voice from time to time, so, you know.
Okay, next to her, Vanee.
Hi, I'm Vanee Matsalia. I'm a secondary education teacher. I teach English as well, so teacher voice all day. I'm also a nerd culture enthusiast. I have been following nerd culture my whole entire life because I'm a nerd. A professional equity trainer and educational justice trainer.
Okay, Jules.
Hi, so I'm Jules Rivera. I am the illustrator behind books such as Spectre Deep 6, which is out by Turner Publishing. You'll see the links to that put up. And as well as my own graphic novels, Love Jules, Tidal Wave Queen, and Manic Pixie Nightmare Girl. I've been posting these online for the last couple of years now, and then I turned them into graphic novels. And yeah, I just peddle them and spit my opinions in people's faces, and you know, somehow they don't get coronavirus. It's fine. I do it from a safe distance. Spitballs. Internet spitballs cannot give you coronavirus. Just saying.
Marqueeda.
Hi, I'm Marqueeda LaStar. I'm a journalist, social curator. I like to say I'm a culture technologist, you know, I'm out there. And yes, I am currently working on a lot of different projects. I'm not actually ready to talk about. I shouldn't have brought them up, but that's what I do. Anyway, I pretty much geek out for the culture, and I like to connect people. So connections, intersexuality is my thing as well. Often I say sex, tech, and rock and roll is what my world is all about. So there you go.
And last but not least, Camilla.
Hi, I'm Camilla Zhang. I am formerly Kickstarter's comics outreach lead, and I'm primarily, so I'm a comics and prose writer, but most of my career has actually been behind the scenes in comics. So I've done editorial internships with DC. I've worked with Marvel in their licensing department, like their legal department. And I've also worked with DC Comics as an assistant editor and assistant to the VP of Art and Design, Mark Chiarello, who's put out books like New Frontier and Batman Black and White. And I like some titles that I've edited include the entire Before Watchmen series, Batman Noel, and Batman Death by Design, which are both graphic novels. For 2 years, I was the comics outreach lead at Kickstarter, and I've helped like hundreds of campaigns reach their funding goals by offering advice and education. And now I am freelancing as a consultant for crowdfunding, but mostly like trying to make time for my own creative pursuits because, having a full-time job is so important because you need to live. So oftentimes, like, my art has taken a back seat, and now I'm excited to continue bringing that back into my life and making those projects happen.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being with us. I'm so happy to have all of you here. It's such a blessing. So let's get into it. The state of the world has changed so much since our last panel discussion. Has the COVID-19 pandemic changed your creative processes at all? And feel free to jump in, whoever wants to talk about it.
So here's the weird thing that happened to me. All right, I'm gonna put this also the link for this book in the comments. But so the graphic novel that I was working on turned into Coronavirus, a love story. All right, like a lot of the imagery in the graphic novel, there's all people in masks. You have a lot of hysteria, a lot of people running around screaming, and I'm like, how did this become my life? How the hell did this happen to me? And rioters, and oh gosh.
So you started this, huh? Jules started the Corona. Jules wrote it, and your book came alive.
I mean, I didn't even write this book, Jen. I wrote like half of it. Like Jen and I have a collaborative process, and we just kind of bounce the script back and forth. Because she's not that experienced with writing graphic novels. I'm like, okay, here's how we make that into more of a graphic novel kind of thing, and I'll add a few action sequences on her and my own. But anyway, 200, it just became about. Just and police paranoia, brutality. That's going to be a theme in the graphic novel. Like, and again, she was the one who led the charge on this book. She was kind of like, the story came out like 4 years ago. And now the thing that I'm drawing became Coronavirus, the graphic novel. And I've been absorbed in it. And I'm like,
I think I saw like the first few of them like on your Instagram, right?
Oh yeah, like some of the panels that I've been posting,
like little doodles you were doing, right?
I've been swamped. I haven't been able to post any kind of new Love Jules comics lately. So yeah, there's a couple of little sci-fi doodles over on my Insta, but real talk, it's just I didn't expect to be engulfed by this thing. And I know I am not even sort of even this like the worst victim. I feel like, hey, maybe this will turn out to be a good thing. People feel like, hey, I want to read about coronavirus love story. Yeah, like who knows? I don't
read a coronavirus love story.
I'm just saying it's just a weird time for me. That's all. Weird. Things are weird.
I hear that. I get that.
I don't know if anybody else has been making artwork based on coronavirus, accidentally or otherwise.
I think it's more I don't know. I can't speak for anybody else, but I think a lot of the things that I'm currently trying to bring together or create, I think it's been shaped definitely by the last couple of months of my resolve about making certain things and how I'm going to message them and how I want to package them, who I want to do them with, who I want to focus on has very much changed. And I think that's how it's influencing me. Like I'm definitely saying that we as nerds, geeks, we love our entertainment, but it also needs to speak to like our experiences and what we're living through. I think it's art. And it should have some type of message. It should reflect life. So I think that's where I'm coming from with it.
Yeah, right on.
I'm hoping to have something genius to say about coronavirus maybe months from now, after I've had more naps like I've had today. It's been exhausting. Like with kids and the e-learning, and then they took all of the campus classes online, and I had to go from become this expert e-learning professor, and I didn't know what I was doing.
Oh yeah.
Discord is like, let's talk about it, and then but my classes became like therapy sessions for my students, and so.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it was very, I'm glad that we did that. I'm glad they had that outlet, but it's tired. I'm tired. I have not been able to really create anything. So I'm hoping that after, once coronavirus has done what it's going to do, and, there's been some napping, something genius will come out of this. I don't know. But so far, I've not been able to create. My brain is just not there. It's just like, get me off this, so
that's the other side, right? It's this, we've been talking about that some people have found inspiration and they've been more productive than they've ever been, And the others are like, it's really taking its toll, depending on what your situation is, how it's affecting your family, how it's affecting you, your work situation. I'm blessed to be able to work remotely. I know that's not everybody's situation. And so, so if you're just taking time to reflect, I've been doing a lot of that, and figure things out, or just live day by day. I mean, that's a lot of people too, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think there is those that rise and grind philosophy that's going around internet, and you're like, whoa, let's acknowledge that this is extremely stressful for people, and they might not be able to produce. And I think that's something we were talking about even before this happened, the gig community was gig economy was kind of wearing us down, and that's especially true in comics and in the nerd sphere, where we do live from job to job to job, and people just really, it's already this expectation that you're supposed to like stack it on, and now it's like, well, hey, you're at home, let's ignore our mental health and our bodies and like continue that, keep rolling that stone. So I think we should acknowledge that shouldn't be the case.
I can definitely say for me, like, I don't feel like writing anything. I don't feel like writing comic books. I don't feel like writing a sentence. Like, I've gotten into practice where I take 2 naps a day. I do something what one of my friends calls is a hobbit nap. Like, I have first sleep, then
the second
nap, and I call that my hobbit nap. I can't, like, forget it. I wake up, I'm like, oh, it's time for bed. Like, no. And I sleep for an hour, and I'm like, okay, I can.
Like, hey, Regine, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm gonna go nap, and it's like, but you just, and I'm like, no, it's the second second nap. Remember?
I just end up being like rolling around and being like, why can't I sleep? I can't do it. But for me, like, creative wise, it's been rough. Like, up until mid-March, I was employed by Kickstarter. And so, mid-March is when the quarantine started. And then I think I got laid off because I've lost track of time. I got laid off in mid-May due to coronavirus and a bunch of other things that the company was facing at the time. Like, long-term profitability is a challenge for Kickstarter, and simply because as a platform that's purely focused on the arts, and how the arts are positioned in society, where like art is not essential, art doesn't matter, art doesn't get paid as well as like some financial bros in Wall Street. So like, I lost my job due to that. I was already working remotely since March, and having a full-time job definitely helped me keep track of time. But once I lost it, it was just, I mean, like, it's tough. It's tough to like discipline yourself and to be like, have a reason to wake up, because it's, one of those things like, oh, well, I can do it when I want to do it. Right. Like, I did freelance for a year before starting a Kickstarter, and it takes a while to get used to, like, it takes a while to like set up a schedule, set up a routine, and one would think that it's easy, but it's really not. And I've not really been writing, I've been editing a lot. So I've been working on a novel for quite some time, and it's in my 3rd draft. So I've been doing a lot of editing as opposed to like writing things that are new, which I feel is not like it's easier to edit for me at this point than it is to like write something new. So that's kind of a blessing in some ways. But it's still obviously a challenge, because it's like, God damn it, why can't I just play Animal Crossing all day? I'm not thinking about the state of the world at all.
It's true.
What you said about editing is I feel that, because I find myself going back to old pieces, and that's I've picked up on some things, and it's been easier to do that than create some message for coronavirus or something creative about now. So yeah,
Well, the thing is, like, so much is, going on that it can be hard to sort of focus on all these different things that we want to be creative about. And that kind of just leads me into my next question.
Right.
Along with the pandemic, we've also been immersed in a period of racialized police violence. In the midst of that, more and more companies are issuing statements in support of Black Lives Matter, as well as expressing the desire to hire more POC as a whole, especially in the publishing community. What are your thoughts on this?
Well,
I don't
I have like a cup word.
Okay.
Just say it.
Well, I was interviewed by a journalist for Upworthy about in the journalism world, how do we feel about it? And there's a quote of mine that's floating around that's saying that, if you didn't have enough Black people on your staff, if you have to go out and hire freelancers right now, and you didn't have enough Black people on your staff to cover this moment, then maybe you have a problem. Because it makes me angry. I started feeling this anger seeing all of these, these calls going out, for places, even some that I couldn't get into before. I'm like, now you want me, really?
Yeah, that's the feeling. I feel annoyed by this. I'm like, oh, really? Now come on your magical Latina story. I'm like,
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
I'm immediately suspicious when corporations take. I mean, I do think that it's nice when they take a stand in some way, but like, it's hard. It's hard because like I'm immediately suspicious because it feels like virtue signaling, and it's like it feels more reactionary than.
Well, it's definitely reactionary. They could have been proactive. This conversation is not new. I think that is what's taking everyone. Like, that's what you just can't seem to get across to other people. It's not new. It's like it's almost it's unfortunate that it seems like we reset every couple of years. Give it a decade, right back where we started, and then one side's annoyed because we have to have this conversation again. I would say all sides are annoyed we're having the conversation again, but they have different takes. Like, people of color just want it resolved. We want to move on with our business and build this wonderful society that we're all envisioning, but we can't because people won't acknowledge bad stuff that's happening to me. And I get really turned off by it when you're trying to bring attention to it. Like just before this, us bringing attention. Oh, are you sure? There's all this doubt. There's all this question. And then all of a sudden it spills over, and like literally in a week or two, you have some of those same people that you've been making this argument with for years that all of a sudden, oh my God, oh my goodness, did you know? And I'm like, yes, that's what we've been saying. And that's so when they have this old moment, and I get what people are saying, like, well, give people, because I'm queen of second chances. If you're ready to like put in the work and do the work, I'm here for it. But with particularly corporations, we know you got a bottom line. And
I struggle with that notion. I struggle with it because, like I said, equity work is what I do. That's like my bread and butter.
Right.
And so I struggle with every time I have to explain to somebody about data sets about Black children or Black people in society or or police brutality, and then they act like, oh, surprise. None of this data is new. Like, literal nothing I'm saying is new. People act like, oh my God, you're such an amazing trainer. I read you a set of facts that have been available for like all of time.
It's really just taking the initiative, and
nobody. People acting like this is like some new thing,
right.
Like for fun, like
don't
people
you
out here protesting for attention. Do you
like
not
there's
know
a big enough carrot? It's a big enough carrot. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I was like, because I'm listening to you. I'm like, do you feel like, Vanee, that's because there's a large enough carrot now? There's like this instant benefit. It is cool. You look like you're being aggressive and all that. And
right now they can't afford not to.
I think that has to be that way.
Not to, and
why not do the right thing to do the right thing. That's the thing. It's what everyone's saying. It's just you're highly suspicious, and we've had this happen before for it to fade away, and people forget. And then a year out, 2 years out, you're trying to convince people yet again that this just happened.
Yep.
And that's what's going to blow my mind.
Not to get all like and metaphysical, but like I think about this a lot. Where I think about how people hate being the bad guy and hate being wrong, and also I think that people really don't know how to be uncomfortable. And like this desire to get back to a comfortable place is what makes people forget, because it's hard to sit in discomfort for a long time.
Yeah.
You know,
see what you said, long time.
Yeah.
Long time is, we don't have to sit and being uncomfortable could be initial.
Yeah.
But if we do the work, if we grow, we evolve, we do the things we're supposed to do, it doesn't have to stay that way. And I think that's like what they don't. There's like a hump you need to get over. There's a learning curve here that if you just get over, then you can be comfortable. You can start feeling confident about your world and how people are living in it and what people are going through. You know, you have the fear of saying the wrong thing. You have the fear of being ignorant. What can you do about that? You can learn and retain some of this knowledge. There's nothing more crazy than answer the same question over and over again. And we got we're in the age of information. What's going on? I have a book list.
I also feel like
somebody's going to ask me for it.
Yeah. I also feel like people of color are more used to being uncomfortable, right? So like a lot of
that's part of the experience, unfortunately.
Yeah.
That's part of it.
You don't know what it's like to be uncomfortable all the time?
All the time.
Like I wake up every morning and I'm pissed off at something. I'm like, more of this. Like that's just my whole ass life. That's why like everything going into complete state of uprising. I'm not calling it riots. I'm calling it uprisings because we try to protest and behave ourselves and do the nice way. And people were just like, it's too comfortable. Blah, blah, blah. So now that we're in a state of rage and crazy, now I'm like, this feels comfortable. Like, this is how this externalization of how my mind feels all the time. And that's why I'm so touchy.
I don't know if you guys are paying attention, but it's funny how this is manifesting itself in fandoms. So I'm a big Doctor Who fan, like massive, married in front of a TARDIS, like
they real cute. They real cute.
It is the most beautiful wedding pictures ever.
River Song Screwdriver. Like y'all can't see me on Doctor Who. But it's funny seeing these things manifest in the fandoms, and then you have all these fans saying, you know, I just want to enjoy the show. Why do I have to? I don't want to have to worry about race and things like that. I'm like, oh wait, hold on. I mean, you don't want to have the experience of a Black woman? That's the problem.
We don't want to experience it either. We don't want to talk about it either. Yeah.
Oh, it wasn't political the way he treated Danny Pink. He was just a character. False. You don't understand this narrative at all. You have no idea because you have never had to be uncomfortable. Sitting in discomfort is brand new to you. We do it all the time. I couldn't ignore as a Black fan the way that the characters are Black characters are treated on that show. I can't. It's my lens. I can't ever turn it off. I can't say I'm going to turn off my Blackness while I watch Doctor Who for a second. Right, yeah. I mean, I just can't do that. And so it's like,
just rent it, you know.
I don't want to think about race while I'm watching Doctor Who. I don't want to think about genders while I'm watching Doctor Who. Are you serious? Captain Jack,
here we are.
Multi-pansexual. What you mean you don't think about like? Come on. Right. It's manifesting itself in all these fandoms in such interesting ways, and it's just like, man, y'all are really out here pretending like these shows we watch ain't what they are. What do you think Avatar: The Last Airbender is about? I'm confused. What do you think you're watching?
Oh my goodness.
It's funny if you don't bring it up. And I've watched, this is true of many fandoms, where they'll talk about like the social stuff that they're comfortable with.
Yeah.
Oh, I like X so much because they talk about this, and this is the epic or long old story of X, X versus Y, and they can get into all that, and that's cool if it's talking about like big themes of socialism or some other theme about class. Particularly class is usually a safe one. That's the one that most fandoms are cool and safe with. If you're talking about class, money versus no money, most people are comfortable. But if you turn that camera, that lens to any other, demographic group of people, then all of a sudden I'm uncomfortable. Why you have to talk about it? Like I've seen people do these deep dives and analyze all the cool things that parallel our society. I mean, if you look at sci-fi particularly, most of sci-fi is dealing with huge social issues. What do you think X-Men is about?
That is what
that's super mainstream. Everybody knows a character from X-Men. Think about it. It's a group of people who are both feared but thought to be like special. And you go out your way to like, you're trying to control them, fight them. You do it through legal means. You do it underhanded means. Like, who does that sound like? If you know your history, and a lot of it's willful ignorance. Like, I don't want to know what's going on. It's like ignorance is bliss. I don't think it's blissful, but a lot of people do.
I wonder if all of the avoidance, because usually it's a lot of white fans, and I wonder if a lot of fans, and I mean, it's not universal, but, for the most part, they ride for the colonizers. So, I wonder if all these fans are so uncomfortable with the notion of confronting ideas about race because then they have to deal with their white guilt. Like, I wonder if that's the big old monster they're running from, because I'm like, yeah, that looks hard. 400
because they don't want to be the bad guy. They don't want to be the bad guy.
That looks hard.
Like, they don't, without understanding that, like, there's no bad or good. There's only like harm and nurture.
There's only the force.
I just kind of like answer about the binaries of like, it's like, we all have a good and bad guy in ourselves. Like, we all do shitty crap to each other, but we also do really great things for each other. Like, it's okay to be nuanced. It's okay to be good and bad. And like, you're not the bad guy if I say, hey, what you said was racist. Like, just like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'll learn better. Like,
but this is how I feel. Like, these people don't understand the comics that they read, because many of your favorite comic heroes are very nuanced that way. Or they started off as the bad guy and became the good guy, and they learned from their mistakes. Or they really thought they was the good guy, and that particular good intention made them the villain. And then you cape for these people, but you clearly don't understand them. Like, you don't understand them critically, because the stuff that you're caping for, and then talk about I want to keep it not political.
Right.
I don't think he's the bad guy. I'm sorry. Don't you like Batman?
Let's segue really quick. Let's just segue really quick. Just bookmark that, because you're probably going to end up saying the same thing. It's going to be related to what I'm about to ask. But that also correlates with things that were popping up this week in regards to the comic book industry erupting with allegations of harassment and grooming of underage girls and other minors. What can we do to protect them, as well as young adults who aspire to be in this industry?
Just send them my way. It's fine. I'm not going to molest you. I'm going to hurt your damn feelings, but I'll keep my hands to myself. You know why? Because I'm social distancing. That's possible. Just send them
just don't want to get corona. Okay.
I know Jules comes out the gate and shakes people up, but she does have a great point, and I agree with you 100%. I think we as women in nerdom and geekdom, wherever you reside on the spectrum, we have to take leadership roles, and that is what I would challenge the industry to do, to make us feel that all the posts on social media are genuine. Follow through. I want to keep seeing all these different programs and reforms, and I saw some people having townhouses, like industries within comics, movie, television. They're having townhouses now, like town hall meetings. Town hall. That's right.
I like
townhouses. Town hall. Got it. Town hall. where they're asking for feedback of how. And I applaud that, because no one's saying that we have the answer. And that's, I think when you first gave the question, Regine, I'm like, if we knew, I think if we knew how to solve it, it would be done already. And that's another point. We can't do it alone. We did not build these systems.
A little bit there.
I'm
going to disagree a little bit
Right.
there.
I'm a really great bet. That's all. Just send the young people my way. I'm already a damn college professor. Like, what's the problem?
Well, it's not just the young folks. The biggest issue is you have a lot of folks who've been in this industry for a long time. Not just men. It's the majority of men, yes, but you also have, some women who have subscribed to misogyny and think like, well, hey, if it didn't happen to me, so what? Or that person was great to me. I don't know what your problem is. So it's okay to associate with that person, as opposed to breaking things down and being like, what, regardless of if this happened to me or not, here's a person that's here in this industry that has been hurt and harmed. And we have to address the situation, not just with the person that has committed these acts, but a whole plethora. Because if you do a Google search, you'll see all these names. And right now we're seeing a bunch of men, yes, but now there are non-cis heterosexual men being added to the list. So it's something that, we have to address as a whole. So when Marqueeda was talking about a town hall meeting, that's definitely something that's necessary, as to say, like, okay, what are we going to do? We have these people that are in and around, hurting and harming our folks. What do we do? Because this is essentially institutionalized misogyny.
And this is what I'm talking about, is we can't just put more of us in the system. That's not going to do it. You have to dismantle the system. You cannot, it's not about, we need more representation in comics. We need more women of color in comics.
We do.
That's not what I'm talking about. We need less of them. We need to tear the system down and replace the system. Not let's keep putting young girls and people of color into the very damaging and dangerous system.
Right.
No,
okay.
Chewing us up and spitting us out.
Right.
We need to be at the top. We need to be making decisions. Like, I believe it needs to be more than just putting us into it. We need to be able to be a part of the power structure to make complete change. And that means some of y'all got to go, because some of y'all are horribly toxic, and it's not all men. Some of y'all have this little sleeping thing where I made it in and I went through and I suffered, and that's part of the game.
Yeah.
You need to get the game.
It's like hating almost. And sometimes it's not even the point of, this is something, I deeply want. It's like, well, it's when paying your dues pretty much go wrong kind of thing. That whole idea, you gotta pay your dues. I'm all about like acquiring the skills. You gotta give people the opportunity to get experience. But the horrible things that happen to you, you should not be passing that on. Passing trauma on is not cute.
Yes.
Go to therapy, work on it.
Fraternities and sororities, like,
exactly.
What, Camilla?
I said, even with fraternities and sororities, it's not just a comic industry thing. It is like pervasive throughout our entire society, where if a newbie just needs to be punished, or I'm sure that these older dudes who have groomed don't see themselves as doing anything bad. Well, this girl's consenting. This girl's interested in me. But like, I think that
that's what I
right. Like, you were dangling that carrot in front of them. Here, let me
they showed up to do a job.
Hey, girl, you want a job? Like they want to have the power to be able to dangle the carrot in front of your nose. Look, I have my selection of listed people, we'll just call them, and they are ethically sourced from outside the industry. I don't feel the need to harm anybody trying to make their way up. If they got a question, I'll answer the question. No, I can't help you with anthology, but like, to be available to answer questions and like help mentor people up. How hard is that? I mean,
also, I think it's like a lot about power structures. Like, I feel like I learned early on not to like put my idols or like I used to like idolize certain people, right? And I'm just like I do not idolize people. I try my best not to idolize people anymore and give them that power. But I also like feel like, in the same way that defund the police is like a big topic now, like communities have the ability to care for each other without like somebody like stepping in and like, issuing punitive justice, right? Like, communities have the ability to take care of each other, and it's up to our community to like do really simple things like set up community guidelines, set up, a very clear written out definition of what sexual harassment is. Just because you don't think you're doing it doesn't mean you're not doing it. We need to create guidelines and safe spaces for like the young folks to come to and like, shout it from the rooftops that these spaces exist. That's just one of my ideas. That's not necessarily like a comprehensive suggestion, but like,
no, I'm in total agreement of that. We
But it
definitely need to
helps.
support one another, because that's another part of the disease, where it's not just, oh, this was done to me, but there isn't enough room for you. So I'm going to push you away. I'm going to push you in to go somewhere where you might be in a bad situation, because I wouldn't take you on, And I think as you rise, no matter where you are in the community or where you are professionally, there's always something you can give, or at least mentoring someone else. Something I always, if I learn something the hard way, if it took me 2 years to learn it and I can turn around and give it to you in 2 hours, I'd be happy to do that. Pass it on. That's how it should be. Allow people who are shining bright to rise. I think everyone's kind of scared of that person they think is better than them, but that should never be the excuse, because I think that's fear runs people. Like, I'm going to put this person on, they're going to overshoot me, and then where am I going to be? And I'm like, you're going to find something to do. And even if you have the same idea or you're doing the same thing, people do things differently. So yes, they might shine, but they do it in a different way. People come to you for your perspective. And so don't be toxic, so we can enjoy your perspective and what you bring, but if you're toxic because you're either taking advantage of people or you're shutting people out or you're doing something, then we can't enjoy the gifts you have to share with us. So
I think it's important to divest from some of these large organizations. Go to organizations that are not hurting us. Regine runs Women in Comics. Women in Comics is good for women. It's good for women of color. Nobody's in there hurting or abusing each other. People are helping and mentoring and lifting each other up and giving each other career advice and guiding each other. And it is a community that is a safe community. And then you have a leader all over it who, when something even looks like it's going sideways, it's not in my house.
We a little rough and tumble.
Yo, that's just the Bronx. Bronx got a Bronx.
Well, I mean, that's from the Bronx.
I'm from Queens.
I feel you. I feel New York. I feel you guys. I love it. But we need to bring that kind of energy and stop investing in all these other spaces that have shown us over and over and over and over again that every time they're like an onion, you keep pulling back another smelly layer. Like,
that's a good analogy.
Layers to this. I mean, first books about Black people, or they're only Black people or people of color, but before they became heroes, they were criminals. And I mean, the next thing you know, women can't get in. Oh, now we only let these women in, and now find out these women and kids are being groomed. And okay, great. Why don't y'all just go find somebody else to read? Go put your time and your money, go put your time and your money into artists who are in companies and businesses who have not shown you over and over and over and over again that they are trying to protect, instead of get rid of their problematic people or grow their problematic people. Hey, don't throw them away. Train them, make them better. But instead we're just going to promote them and tuck them in a corner.
That is the craziest thing when they get like a promotion. I was like,
oh yeah. Platform to continue hurting people.
I think Camilla's face.
Get promoted.
Where they do that at?
Yeah.
Also, I can't remember the last time I bought a DC comic. I really can't, or a Marvel comic. I pretty much don't like the big dogs. I after working for them, I've grown a distaste for them.
Well, great news. Their distro has been kneecapped. So, shrug.
Jonita,
you know what isn't kneecapped? Spectre Deep 6 delivered mostly on time.
There you go, right?
I think it's definitely important. I think it's definitely important to put it out there. Like if you find and see that one of your favorite creators and artists is out here doing crazy stuff, it's definitely time to move on. And if you see that a company has bad practices when it comes to sexual harassment, or it looks like they're just going with the institutionalized misogynistic row, then it's time to keep it pushing. And at that same point, if folks see that they're losing money, and I've said this several times on panels, specifically in San Diego, saying that the comic book industry needs a class action lawsuit, and that would help a lot, in the sense that if you lost a lot of money, because that's what for most corporate companies, when they lost a lot of money,
that's when you
saw the change.
That's when that growth happens. That growth happens. And
they suddenly learn how to grow.
And then I hate that because people spin that story, right? Spin it around. Oh, you're only doing it because you want money. No. I have pleaded, I've written, we've protested, we've done it all, trying to get you to make these changes, and it literally took us digging in your pockets for you to do it. If that's what works, that's what we're going to go with. And that's what it comes down to.
It's not
so
about
you don't want to dig in your pockets, make the changes first and keep it pushing.
Yeah, it's not about getting paid, it's about getting justice.
Right. It really is. And that money can go to good use. I'm not mad for taking the money though. That's not me saying, oh, I didn't want the money. Because the money can go to better uses, to lining somebody's pockets who is unwilling to do the work, that wants to exclude people. I'm not into empowering any of that. So take the money.
Well, it is
great.
It is about justice and exposure. So we have a couple of minutes left, and I know a few of you have some announcements, because by the time this comes out at San Diego Comic-Con, there'll be some new releases and some new fun stuff. So let folks know what you're doing and your handles and all the good stuff. We're going to start with Jonita. Tell us what's up. What's going on?
Well, am I allowed to talk about the thing that's coming out during SDCC?
I hope so.
Yes.
Okay. So,
I was holding back. I was like, no, that's the beginning.
Yes.
So the people who are watching, this is the thing that I was like, oh, I want to talk about, but I shouldn't talk about right now, and I feel really awkward at the moment. Then now.
Feel yourself.
Yeah,
I'm an artist.
To talk about it's called the Blurred Galaxy magazine, and it's going to be a space where we are going to be able to dig into topics just like this, just like we're doing now, saying the things that need to be said, and doing the work by promoting the independents, the creators, and the focus on the women, the people of color, the Black people, the LGBTQ community who are doing these great works. They're not getting amplified because you've got the big dogs that are taking all the airspace. So, and while we're doing that, like I said, we're going to be talking about, these issues, just like we did about, defunding, we're exploring more. How do we defund the comics industry? Like Vanee said, to take apart the structure and begin rebuilding. Those are some of the topics that I hope to explore. And we launched July 22nd. It's the Blurred Galaxy magazine. So we're so excited. So it's Vanee and Regine and Marqueeda and myself. We're behind it. So that's my big thing. Yeah. There you go. And glitter, to come down.
Yes. It's still July, but we're doing this in mid-June, so nobody knows about it yet. So hey,
that's the best part, right? That's like the funnest part. You're like, should I? Oh yeah, it's a thing. It's already popping. Get in on it. Tell your friends.
Yeah, so www.blurredgalaxy.org. Go there.
And the social media handles?
Oh, they're at So Blurdy across the board. Right now, we're doing IG and Twitter for now.
Go ahead, Jules.
Oh, Jules, go.
See, she's like, oh, if you need a minute, you go. Okay, I didn't make a sign. That's very smart of you.
No, I didn't say that. I'm just like, I just wrote it down so I could do it.
There you go. He's like,
so people want to see it. It's there. I'm not making any noise.
Oh, there you go.
Show people. That way people can pause
this. This is like a whole different
you
world.
write it down. I'm not trying to be a jerk.
For panel.
Yeah. And once again, feel free to. Can I talk about my books right now, just real quick?
Go ahead. Go.
Okay. Spectre Deep 6 is really great. Turner Publishing. And Love Jules, Man and Pixie Nightmare Girl. It's a book I made. You should go get them. www.julesrivera.com. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I guess it's like my turn, but we like already like celebrated. Like, yes, when this comes out, Blur Galaxy will be out. Please go check it out. Again, So Blurty on Instagram and Twitter. Our handles and the website is blurgalaxies.org. You can find me at LaStar.next, anywhere on the interwebs, because I live there.
Well, I guess
Camilla?
that's me.
Vanee, did you go?
No, I'm Blur Galaxy as well. So we are the board. It's Regine, Jonita, myself, and Marqueeda. And so this is our thing. And all of us, none of us are new to this. We are all old timers in this field. So we decided, why not step our game up and why not give, the world the access to,
why not us?
Black nerd journalism has been, not always great to Black nerds and not always great to Black indie creators or indie creators of any color, because we all get excited when Disney or Marvel wants our attention, and then we drop all of our indie want the attention. So
down with all corporations. Sorry.
Yeah.
So we just said, okay, so let's. If nobody else is going to do it, we have the time, we have the experience. Yep. We are out here blurred bosses, so let's make it happen. And I also am a founding member of, I don't know if you can see that, WeBlack.org. So if you're interested, it's just a community resource for the Black community about, financial wellness, investing. Is basically a group, because sometimes, as a community, we're all very disparate and all over the place and spread around the country. But it's a place where you can come together for resources. You can ask professionals about advice in your particular field. You can, my sphere is education. So, I'm telling parents of, what do you need to know from the inside of the school system? My brother he runs it, and he's a business person. So he's giving investment advice and how to start a small business and how to fill out the paperwork. Things like that are just really important for our community to just start building ourselves, because again, we got to divest from looking for everybody else to do it for us and to pay attention to us. And let us in, build your own circle, build your own community, build your own foundations. And that's what WeBlack.org is about. It's about giving the community tools to build for ourselves. And that is how we do it.
Okay, Vanee, we don't need nobody. We're going to make it happen. All right. I'm pumped. Same. All right. I'm on board. Forget everybody. We making it happen.
I feel like this is so indicative of Audre Lorde's the master's tools will never dismantle the master's house.
Right. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Just only take down that house, set it on fire, and build your own.
Exactly, right?
Arson? No, just kidding.
Well, Martin did say he led his people into a burning house. Illa the killer.
Yeah.
So I'm on Twitter. Not like I don't live on the internet, which it's like sort of I wish I did, but like
don't worry, I'll give you the code.
I'll give you there.
You can come over here with me.
I check my Twitter at least once a day.
Oh, so, okay. I understand.
At least once a day.
But
the next thing that by the time you are watching this, hello from the past. By the time you watch this, the campaign that I'm consulting for will be live or likely live. And if it's not live by the time SDCC comes out, it is going to be like in the news somehow. Like we'll probably be seeding information out. But it's basically Scott Snyder's campaign for his new series called Evernight. And we're doing a director's cut hardcover for it, and it's going to be on Kickstarter. So Evernight, Scott Snyder, Kickstarter, go get it. And follow me for my creative work at Illa the Killa on Twitter. And if you want to see some of my old writing, you can go to camillazhang.com.
Okay, awesome. Well, again, I'm Regine L. Sawyer, coordinator and founder of the Women in Comics Collective International. I just showed you our links. I'll put them up one more time, but definitely stop by, say hello, how are you? We have a new membership initiative that's going to be launched by the time you guys see this. And so just go to our website and check that out, because our membership will be open to everyone, basically, because yes, when we started, it was about protecting all women. Well, we're about protecting all people. And that's our concentration. Our concentration is to service our community. So, you need us, you need something, you need to learn about the industry, whatever it is, we got you. So definitely check us out. So take care, be well, and enjoy your SDC at home. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Rocky Star.